Samsung Odyssey G7, the best mainstream curved gaming monitor. The Samsung Odyssey G7 is the smaller and more manageable stablemate of the Ultrawide G9. Samsung produces this panel in both 27 and 32 inches designs. They're both fantastic. These screens use the same 1000R curve radius as the larger G9, which means the curve is tighter than most other panels. That makes a difference during gameplay. The curve better matches the human eye and it makes gaming more immersive. The curved design is paired with a 240Hz refresh rate, just like the G9, and syncing works on both NVIDIA and AMD graphics cards. The G7's resolution is a more modest 2560 by 1440, which means it'll work smoothly on a wider range of GPUs. The G7 has a great 1 millisecond response time and the V8 panel delivers great image quality. Its contrast level soars beyond 3500 to 1 and it has a sub-3 delta E. The only area where the G7 doesn't match up is in HDR. The G7 uses HDR 600, so it's only average here. The G7 has USB ports, height adjustment, swivel and tilt movement, and it works in portrait mode. It also has slim bezels, works with VESA mounts, and its black design is more subdued than the white glossy G9. It's understandably lighter and will fit into more places. The G7 follows in the G9's footsteps by providing a high-quality curved gaming experience with top-notch imagery, and the G7's smaller shape and conventional form factor can make it more manageable. These displays still aren't cheap, but the G7 is the best mainstream curved gaming panel. MSI Optics MPG341CQR, an all-round gaming monitor champion. While consoles have caught up with 4K HDR gaming, one thing PC gaming simply does better is support for ultra-wide gaming monitors. We think a 21:9 aspect ratio, or wider, is the best type of screen for PC gaming, and the MSI Optics MPG341CQR is the clear winner here. This 34-inch display offers up an enrapturing 3440 by 1440 resolution that wraps around you. Better yet, you also get a 144Hz experience and the response time of this panel is 4 milliseconds, making it a tiny bit faster than your average IPS display. It also supports HDR, albeit with only a 400 nit peak brightness and 8-bit color, so it's not the absolute best high dynamic range experience you'll find out there. But for less than $1,000, this ultra-wide gaming monitor offers a lot, with one of the best looking displays around, plus plenty of ports to connect a variety of devices, including a USB Type-C for your gaming laptop and gaming phones. Asus ROG Swift PG259QN, the best 360Hz gaming monitor for esports. Currently, the best 1080p monitor on the market is the Asus ROG Swift PG259QN and it's not even close. This is a phenomenal 360Hz monitor that has been designed specifically to succeed in nearly all areas of performance. Not only is the refresh rate extremely high, but we also get average response time performance in the 2 to 3 milliseconds range, which is class-leading among gaming monitors. And that's all with an IPS display, not TN, meaning we still get great viewing angles and color performance. In fact, when it comes to color performance, the PG259QN is one of the best factory-calibrated displays we've ever tested. Factor in the elite input lag. This is the most responsive monitor we've ever tested, and overall one of the best. The only downside is the relatively low 1080p resolution and high price tag. MSI Oculus NXG253R, best gaming monitor for everyday 1080p play. Refresh rate, resolution, black levels, panel size, pick 2. That's been the PC monitor buyer's dilemma for several years now. MSI's latest panel, bearing the catchy moniker Oculus NXG253R, aims to at least address the most common trade-off in modern gaming panels: refresh rate for color quality. Whereas the majority of high refresh rate panels are VA or TN screens with limited viewing angles and shallow colors, MSI's latest is built around an IPS panel, with all the inky blacks and rich colors that technology brings with it. This is the first 360Hz monitor I've played on, and I must admit to being skeptical about whatever marginal gains I might see in the performance. 60Hz to 120Hz is transformative, but 120Hz to 360Hz? It turns out that while that performance gain might not exist on a linear curve, 360Hz does look and feel smoother than 120Hz. If your aspirations for the online competition are pretty serious, that's really all you need to know. You just have to make peace with the idea of buying a piece of specialist equipment, not an all-rounder. The MSI Oculux NXG 253R's mandate is sound then, but there are still compromises made in this pricey 1080p monitor in order to optimize esports performance. The most obvious are the screen size and resolution, 24.5-inch and 1080p respectively. MSI Optics Mag 274 QRF-QD, the best color performance. It feels like 1440p and 27 inches has been the sweet spot for affordable PC gaming for an age. Does it make sense for consoles too? MSI likes to think so, in part thanks to a compatibility mode that allows a 4K input from the PS5 to run on this panel, which means it offers a different edge in its contention for best gaming monitor. Even with that quirk aside, this display still has a lot going for it. For starters, it runs at 165 Hz, and packs a high-quality IPS panel with color accuracy that is well above the norm for a gaming monitor. Arguably even more important is the fact that this display is seriously fast. Rated officially at 1 millisecond response, it's one of the fastest gaming monitors we've ever seen. It's also feature-packed, including G-Sync compatibility and USB-C connectivity. The only slight snag is the price. It's pretty expensive. Samsung Odyssey G9, best for extreme ultra-wide fun. There are ultra-wides, and then there are super ultra-wides. The Samsung Odyssey G9 takes that title and runs with it far beyond where many competitors will go. It builds upon the success of the similarly large, but not so capable CRG9, and fully emulates twin 27-inch 1440p monitors in a single curved panel. The 1000R curve isn't just for immersive purposes. Normal ultrawides stretch the width of 2 to 3 monitors as well, but when you've got this much screen to work with, having it curve around into your peripheral vision actually means you don't need to turn your head as much. But don't let a little neck rotation put you off one of the most stunning gaming displays ever seen. Packed within that 49-inch display are over 7 million pixels, 5120 by 1440 resolution, for extreme detail and expansive views, whether you're playing an overarching strategy game, a close-to-the-action shooter, or an RPG. It's faster than most ultrawides can even dream of, with a 240 Hz refresh rate and a near-instantaneous 1 millisecond response time, making it excellent for high-speed gaming. It hits high on the brightness scale and has 2500 to 1 contrast ratio too, making it fantastic for HDR gaming, movies, and TV. Support for both G-Sync and FreeSync means that whether you're an AMD or NVIDIA fan, you'll achieve the smoothest picture possible. You will want to perform some color and white balance calibration to make the most of this display, as its out-of-the-box settings leave some room for improvement, but it's worth the effort. Samsung Odyssey Neo G9, best super ultra-wide gaming monitor. The best just got a whole lot better. That's surely a foregone conclusion for the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9. After all, the original Odyssey G9 was already Samsung's tip-top gaming monitor. Now it's been given the one upgrade it really needed, a mini LED backlight. Out of the box, it looks identical to the old G9. Deep inside, however, the original G9's single most obvious shortcoming has been addressed. The Neo G9 still has a fantastic VA panel. But its new backlight has full array dimming, rather than edge-lit. It packs in fact a cutting-edge mini LED tech with no fewer than 2048 zones. This thing is several orders of magnitude more sophisticated than before. And as if that wasn't enough, the Neo G9's peak brightness has doubled to a retina-wrecking 2000 nits. The problem with any backlight-based, rather than per pixel, local dimming technology is that compromises have to be made. Put another way, an algorithm has to decide how bright any given zone should be, based on the image data. And the results are never going to be perfect. Visible halos around bright small objects are the sort of issue you expect from full-array dimming. But the Neo G9 has its own backlight-induced image quality issues. Admittedly, they're most visible on the Windows desktop rather than in-game or watching video. If you position a bright white window next to an all-black window, the adjacent edge of the former visibly dims. Or let's say you move a bright small object over a dark background. The same thing happens. The bright small object dims. Even uglier, if something like a bright dialog box pops up across the divide between light and dark elements, the result is a gradient of brightness across the box. All this applies to both SDR and HDR modes, and it's all rather messy and distracting. Sure, This monitor isn't designed for serious content creation or office work. But at this price point, it's surely a serious flaw. Still, that 1000R curve, huge 49-inch proportions, and relatively high resolution combine to deliver an experience that few screens can match. Graphics-heavy titles such as Cyberpunk 2077 or Witcher 3 are what the G9 does best. In that context, the Samsung Odyssey Neo G9 delivers arguably the best visual experience on the PC today. Razer Raptor 27, best 144Hz gaming monitor. The Razer Raptor 27 is the best gaming monitor for 144Hz refresh rates. It'll make any gamer you know jealous with premium touches, like an RGB stand, flat green cables for cable management and drool-worthy build quality. Plus, HDR delivery is some of the best we've seen in an edge-lit panel yet. Despite its 144Hz refresh rate, the Raptor 27 was able to stay competitive with 165Hz monitors in our benchmarking. Top that off with its modern, sleek, and glowing design, and this is easily one of the best-looking monitors, and among the best gaming monitors you can buy. Samsung CRG9, how big is too big? It may be very expensive, and requires a killer gaming PC setup to run, but the Samsung CRG9 is completely worth it, and the best gaming monitor if you've got the extra cash laying around. This bigger than average 49-incher boasts bezels thinner than most gaming monitors, and a picture-by-picture mode feature that lets you use two different inputs, simulating a dual monitor setup in a single monitor. And, that's without mentioning that the CRG9 produces an out-of-this-world image right out of the box. Samsung has also seen fit to kit this alluring tech out with FreeSync 2, which we found works pretty darn well with NVIDIA's G-Sync 2, despite its lack of official NVIDIA validation. Its VA panel has a decent contrast ratio, but black uniformity is rather poor, as there's noticeable clouding throughout the screen. As with most VA panels, viewing angles are also disappointing, but the monitor's curved panel does help a bit, making it easier for you to see the sides. As for HDR performance, this monitor has a decent wide color gamut, and an impressive peak brightness to make highlights pop in HDR content. If you're looking for a monitor that will serve you well for years to come, and which is sure to settle your monitor envy, the Samsung CRG9 is the gaming screen you need. Although you will have to pay top dollar for the privilege. The Samsung CRG9 might just be our dream monitor. LG 27GN950, the fastest and most responsive 4K gaming monitor. 4K gaming is a premium endeavor. You need a colossal amount of rendering power to hit decent frame rates at such a high resolution. But if you're rocking a top-shelf graphics card, like the new RTX 3080, then this dream can be a reality at last. The LG 27GN950 is the best 4K 144Hz monitor for most people. The 4K Fast Nano IPS display is great for high-fidelity gaming and productivity, aided by a wide color gamut and excellent color accuracy, while the 144Hz refresh rate and fast pixel response times ensure that fast-paced games appear fluid in motion, with minimal input lag. It also boasts Display HDR 600 support, which means the screen can exceed 600 nits of brightness for HDR highlights. This standard is where HDR starts to feel more worthwhile, so it's great to see it here. The display is also FreeSync/G-Sync compatible, so you'll have variable refresh rates between 48 and 144 Hz, to smooth out uneven frame rates and eliminate tearing/jutter. The best feature? The 27GN950 supports display stream compression, so you can access the full 4K 144Hz refresh rate with HDR and VRR over a single DisplayPort cable, without the need for visually subpar chroma subsampling, or the messy two-cable solution employed by other monitors. All in all, the 27GN950 is a terrific monitor and one of the best we have ever tried. ViewSonic Elite XG270QG, best G-Sync high refresh gaming at 1440p. The ViewSonic Elite XG270QG delivers on the fundamentals, with a QHD display that can run at up to 165 Hz, and a 1 millisecond response time. That'll give you the buttery smooth gameplay you want in highly competitive online games. And, true G-Sync functionality will ensure no screen tearing. It also has impressive colors thanks to its IPS panel. It even sports a hook to hold your headphones and an anchor to support your mouse cable. The rear and bottom of the monitor include RGB lights that provide some background lighting when you're gaming in a dark room. Asus TUF VG27AQ, Best FreeSync Gaming Monitor. Don't let the TUF branding fool you. The Asus VG27AQ is fitted with the latest and greatest monitor technology to deliver an exceptional gaming experience. It has fantastic motion handling because of its high refresh rate and low response time. The 1440p resolution also delivers a great image on the 27-inch screen. There's a 165Hz, featuring adaptive sync support, a response rate of 1 millisecond, and it is both G-Sync and FreeSync compatible. Add into this Asus' own extreme low motion blur sync technology, and the in-game pictures this monitor provides are some of the smoothest and best you can get on a 1440p monitor. This monitor has a similar design to some other Asus gaming monitors, and the stand is fantastic. It offers great ergonomics as you can adjust it in almost any way you like, with rotation into portrait mode and the possibility to VESA mount it. With thin borders, it favors a multi-monitor setup. Unfortunately, this panel has poor contrast ratio and black uniformity, as blacks looks gray in a dark room. It lacks a good peak brightness and wide color gamut, so although HDR is supported on the monitor, it doesn't look very good. The VG27AQ does a great job of balancing overall picture quality, speeds, and importantly, the price point. It's a great duotone monitor that will serve people well both for PC and console gaming.